I did a video blog 4 weeks ago and I called it Two Intentions. And I want to work more with that. The idea of the two intentions is that even though we're in a new space, okay, a new level of consciousness, a new way of being, even when our life feels new, hopefully your life feels new. If it doesn't, this still applies. You know, we still have maybe an old intention as well. We've got an old intention and a new intention. Our old intention is being generated sometimes unconsciously by our old patterns and our old issues. And so even though we're in a new space, we could be, you know, experiencing old doorways. And of course, the second intention is the new intention that hopefully you set this year, or this spring, or at the beginning of the year, or just the other day. Like, I would like to have this in my life, you know, that type of intention. And then that new intention, that energy of that new intention is going to attract a new type of experience, a new type of doorway, a new type of person, a new type of, you know, community, or whatever your intention is about. You know, so you've got this time where even though we're in the new space, we may be having old doorways and new doorways that are opening to us. By the way, another resource quickly is my book, Natural Way of Being. In chapter 8, I go into this. And it's actually pretty well laid out. It's laid out a little differently than this, so that might, if you have the book or you could get it, that's a good reference. And I actually talk about there being three types of doorways: new doorways, old doorways, and I call them intermediate doorways, which are kind of like they're not old doorways, but they're not new either. They're new, but they're not the ultimate doorway we're after. But they may be a doorway that helps us to learn a lesson or grow so we can then accept the new doorway down the road. Those are good too. Okay, so I want to spend some time, you know, discerning between, I'm going to simplify it, between old doorways and new doorways. And so how do we do that? Okay, it's the first thing I would suggest doing is become familiar with your old pattern, you know, your old way of being, your old way that you manifested, and your old way of creating things, the old types of things that you created. Okay, if they're in, you know, relationships, an example of an old pattern might be, you know, having relationships with people that are not emotionally available. And then they're not available to you, and then it causes problems. That's an example, you know, or it doesn't have to be on a relationship. It can be having a new type of experience, a new type of career, a new business, a new community. You know, maybe you're allowing a different part of you to unfold, and you're getting new doorways that give this new part of you to kind of awaken and unfold. So whatever it is, you know, it's good to be aware of your old pattern. You know, when I do retreats, especially also when I do sessions and in the sharing circle as well, we do spend quite a bit of time on building awareness and insight around the old patterns. Not because I want us to focus on the old. I really want people to experience something new, but it's so we can steer clear of the old. So awareness of the old helps you recognize it. Okay? The other thing that's really helpful is the old doorway, the old pattern. It has an energy. I like to call it an energy signature. Okay? And that energy signature is around it, you know, the old intention has a vibration. Okay, you could say it has a frequency, or it vibrates, it moves through, and the energy of it has a feel to it, has an intuitive feel to it. Okay, even beyond, you know, the rational, you know, it's really good to know your old pattern rationally. And it's like, you know, I attract this and da 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 da. It's good to know it, you know, with your brain and analytically. It's good to know it that way. It's also good to know it energetically and intuitively. Like, what's the feel of that old pattern? And we may not like to tune into that because maybe it's got an icky feel, or it feels traumatic or upsetting because the old pattern likely caused us some pain, right? Or some frustration, or it took us away from what we really wanted in our lives. So we don't like to go back there, but it's really good to know, what did that feel like? And then as well, the new doorway, okay, is going to have a new energy signature as well, a different energy signature. It's going to vibrate, might be at a higher vibration, a different frequency. It's got a different sense to it. It feels, it's like textural. It like has a different vibe to it, you know and this vibration, this energy is really helpful. So in addition to knowing it analytically, we're also opening our heart, our solar plexus chakra, and we're really like feeling it intuitively, and that helps us discern the old from the new. Okay, and if you're not clear yet, well, then you go up and you start exploring. I like to use the analogy, you may have heard me use this before, but I think it's perfect for this. It's like, I'm gonna use the metaphor of going to a party. Okay, and let's assume that at this party, all the possibilities are there. All the types of people, all the types of experiences, all the types of conversations that you could have, they're all at this party. And you go in, and here you are, and there's all these people, and there's all this stuff going on. There's all these experiences happening at this party. And people are doing different things, and they're talking about different things. What often will happen is we will get drawn, we will see the old experiences first. My teacher used to say, the first thing you experience in a new space is often an old doorway, which is a little paradoxical. It's like, I thought I was in a new space. Why? If I'm in a new space, why would I experience an old doorway? Well, that gets back to the two intentions thing. We still have some residual, I guess is the word I want, residual intention for the old. And so let's go back to I want to go back to the new party. So I'm at this party, and often the first thing we will experience might be the old doorways. Now, that doesn't mean the new people and the new doorways and the new experiences aren't there, but I'm just not seeing them yet because they're not familiar to me. I'm not familiar with the vibration, but what will happen is we often get drawn to the people and old experiences, and then we go, hey, what's going on? They might feel comfortable. They might be attractive. We might be like, we feel like, these are my people. Okay, but which people are they? Are they your old people, or are they your new people? And so it's really good then to start, even if it might be an old, you just to start having a conversation. If it's a person, or exploring it, if it's an experience or it's a new thing, like start interacting with it a little bit. And how does it feel? At first it looks shiny and new. They might be very attractive. It might be exciting. We might be getting an old adrenaline rush. It might have like a little addictive quality to it. It's like, but let's talk a little more. It's a new face, but is it an old pattern? What do they used to say with relationship? It's like same person, different face. It's like, is it that type of thing where it seems new, but maybe it's not. So the idea is, if we can recognize the old and say, no, that's not it. That's pretty cool, but I know where that takes me. And as fun as that might be, okay, I don't want to go there. So we're going to say no, and we're going to maybe pass on a few of the old doorways. And then we kind of look around and saying, okay, so who else is here? Okay, what other types of people, what other types of conversations are going on? What other types of experiences are at this party? Okay, of course, the party is life that's offering you experiences if it's in your life. I'm not, well, if you can go to a party like this, let me know. I'll be there. But But it's a metaphor, right? So like, who else is at the party, and like, let's go talk to them. And it's like, this feels different. And here's the thing where the new doorways are a little tricky too, because they may not feel comfortable and we might not feel at ease, and we may not know what we're doing, but it's like, but this is different. So let's stay with this a little long, even though it might be uncomfortable, way out of my comfort zone, or it's unfamiliar, or it's awkward, and I don't know how it works. Let's stay with this a little bit and see what's here. And so that is what I'd recommend you work with. Think about your old pattern, think about your new pattern. What are the textures? What are the energy signatures? And how can you discern the difference? It's okay to interact with them. You can interact. If it happens to be an old doorway, you can always just say, okay, well, I interacted for a while and this ain't it, and so I'm going to move on to a new experience. So that is my video for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Happy 4th of July. And maybe just work with this discernment piece about the new doorways. When new doorways present themselves in your life, like, what is the energy signature? How does it feel? What are the clues? Is this something old or something new? And anyway, I will see you in a week.